All right, number 15 for the BrainTrain May Explorations Month is called the Cross Step 180. It contains a pivot, so this is why I can't say if it's going to be easy or difficult for you. Some people seem to have problems with the movement of pivoting. So let me just show you first, and then we'll talk through what the pivot is and why it might be difficult for you. So we're going to take one leg as our key leg and stay with that leg until we're ready to switch to the other leg. So let's say we're starting with my right leg. So that right leg is going to cross step, okay, like that name, cross step, and then we're going to pivot until now my backside is towards you. We're going to take that same right leg, do the exact same thing, cross, step, and pivot. Okay, so a pivot is where we're training our balls of the foot, okay, to rotate in order to bring the rest of our ankles, knees, legs with it without having to lift the entire foot off the floor to reposition, okay? And the reason why the pivot is important is that when we don't have the opportunity to actually lift our foot, because we're doing a really quick rotation, okay, then we need to be able to have a way to bring our feet, knees, legs in line together, right? So if you don't pivot and you have your foot flat and then you rotate your body, you will definitely end up tweaking something, okay? So it's just a good, it's really important, okay? Whether in dance or in the gym or walking and in your daily activities, it's really important to understand and be able to call on this pivot motion automatically, okay? So it's both a intentional and automatic move that we should really understand, okay? So one of the tricks to the pivot is that we are always on the balls of the foot. Well, that's not a trick. I mean, that's really what it is. You can't pivot unless you're on the balls of the foot and your heel is off the floor. So whether your heel is very much off the floor or just barely off the floor, as long as the turn is happening only on the surface of the balls of your foot, right? So your heels are never touching. So this is considered sort of a pivot, okay? So I have almost no weight on this foot at all. My heel is very kicked up, and you could kind of consider this like a dance move, right? But when we're doing the kind of pivot that I showed you, where we really are trying to move our body with it, we're going to have a little more weight bearing on the balls of the foot, regardless again of how high the heel comes off. So in this case, we first step one leg over and your other leg is going to remain in the exact same position during this time. You're going to land pretty much on the balls of this foot, okay? So you don't need to straighten this leg out, okay? And you don't have to be doing anything fancy, just come straight across. And then in the same motion, we're going to push into the balls of both feet, okay? So you are coming off this slightly off of that left leg or the planted foot. You're going to push off the heel just slightly. You could also think of it as pushing into the floor with the balls of your foot, and then twist around, which will bring your legs with it, okay? And then repeat on the same leg. Now, the other trick to remember here is that when you cross that leg over, try to have, even though one foot, the planted foot, is pointing straight ahead, the toes are pointing straight ahead, and even though this foot is pointing diagonal, you want the heel or the toes, okay, of both feet to pretty much be in line. That way, when you pivot, okay, you also end up in line. Let me show you when I turn around, okay, pretty much in line, okay? So no need to step too far ahead or do any, exaggerated bending. Just think about coming straight across, okay, where you have your heel off here, and then push into the floor and turn, okay? So we're just keeping this movement to the feet, all right? We're not adding any arm motions or anything like that, because I really want you to get this bonus, if you need it, this bonus ability or lesson to learn the pivot, okay? Like I said, this is so important. And a lot of times when we do these strength-based exercises and such that look, difficult or fancy, if you don't have certain fundamentals down or little foundational concepts down, then it's not going to do you much good in the face of daily life should you need a quick reaction, right? And if you're not able to, think about if you had to run away suddenly from somebody, right? That pivot is going to come into effect, our ability to counteract, momentum in one direction, switch direction. All of those things are kind of this little tweaks that we like to add in here or there to basically plug any areas of movement, mobility, ability, capability that we don't get with doing like just big lifts or doing the exact same movement for the majority of the time, whether it's a sports like golf or running, or if you're not that active. Either way, we want to have all these little plugs for all the ways that your body can and should be able to move. And it's a lifelong process, okay? So give this one a go. Make sure you get the pivot.